All right. Good morning, folks. Thank you for joining us today. This is Peggy O'Neill Vivanco from Vermont Clean Cities. Sorry about that. I'm with Jessica Wilcox and Sarah Mills-Knapp. Jessica's from Granite State Clean Cities and Sarah's from Maine Clean Communities. We are calling ourselves the Clean Cities Northern Tier team. We've collaborated on these medium and heavy duty EV webinars and some in-person demos because we're looking for data and efficacy for electric vehicles in the medium and heavy duty sector in our cold, hilly climates. So today, again, this is the third in our series, and we're going to be hearing from some folks about what they have to offer, what's on the road and what's coming. Sorry, I'm going to take control here. Just so for those who aren't familiar with Clean Cities, we are part of a national network of clean cities. We are one of nearly we're three of nearly 100 clean cities coalitions across the United States. And we work to reduce petroleum consumption and provide information to our stakeholders on alternative fuels, idle reduction, and increasing the energy security of the U.S. Some of the kind of quick wave top issues that we deal with, light and medium duty vehicles. We also work to look at, as I mentioned, alternative and renewable fuels and the infrastructure to support those fuels. Idle reduction measures and fuel economy, those are really low-hanging fruit that we can offer any of our fleets. And increasingly new mobility choices and emerging transportation options, things like on-demand transit, microtransit, and such. We do have a wide array of stakeholders, not only here in Vermont, but across our northern tier. Everyone from we work with our utilities to charging infrastructure, fuel providers, municipalities, fleets, and folks like the ones who will be speaking today, our vendors, to look at how we can move the needle on reducing greenhouse gas emissions and work to provide the kind of technological support that will help meet fleets where they are to start deploying technologies that suit their needs. Oops, sorry. So today our presenters include Michael Aikens from Orange EV, who's going to talk about yard trucks, terminal trucks. Then we have Global Environmental Products, Chad Bormann, the Director of Sales there. We were all fortunate, Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont, to have in-person demos on their electric street sweeper. So we'll hear a little bit more about their products. Ben Shapiro from Indra Motors will also talk about his offerings in the medium-duty shuttle bus and some GPS and fleet analysis options. And then we'll hear from Joe Gwin from Lion Electric. All right, so let's start with Michael from Orange EV. Michael is a regional sales manager for the Northeast, but I think that includes all the way down to from Virginia to Maine, so quite a large territory. And he'll be speaking to us about their yard trucks, their zero emission Class 8 terminal trucks. Okay, Michael, you ready to go?
I am. Thank you for that introduction, Peggy. I'm not sure if we're going to do video the whole time, but I'll at least hop on, introduce my face, and say welcome all. Thank you to the Clean Cities groups for having us on here. Really looking forward to presenting and just telling the area, what we have, what we offer, and what we have going on. So I'll go ahead and take off the video. Just want to put a face to the name and say hi to everyone. All right, so let's see here. So again, I'm Michael Aikens. I'm the regional sales manager for Orange EV, Virginia to Maine currently, and also have a little bit of Canadian responsibility just due to my proximity of where I live. And can everybody see this? Is this full screen on everyone's screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, perfect. So we only manufacture electric terminal trucks. And how much I got to expand this here? I'm sorry. Let's see, grid view. My view isn't working here. There we go. Okay, now I can see a little bit better. So a little bit about us. We had our first commercially deployed truck in 2015. So we were going on 6 years of deployment now. And as I mentioned before, we are the #1 electric terminal truck manufacturer. That's where we started. That is the only truck that we work on and develop and continue to improve upon. We now have over 300 trucks deployed, coast to coast, north to south, in all types of environments, with a little over 90 fleet total fleet customers here. One of the major milestones we just passed was 3 million miles and 1 million hours from all of our customers combined on our trucks through our telematics. And I'll touch on this later, but that's very important because we're able to obtain, extract, and apply hard data as to why our trucks will work in your environment. Our trucks are safer and healthier. You do get better truck control. We have a regenerative braking. It's single pedal. Shorter stopping distance. So the emergency stop, if a driver needs to stop, that distance is reduced about 50%. And the reason being because the truck always wants to come to a stop. The truck, the regen braking constantly wants to put power back into the batteries, which enables for just tremendous control. And a lot of drivers tend to like that a lot. Lower voltage, versus some of our competitors. Our truck only runs on 120 volt, just like your house. So in case somebody is in there and accidentally touches something they should not, it's going to let you know, but it won't be catastrophic. Of course, being all electric, we are zero emission, and that helps with a lot of company sustainability goals, because yard trucks are one of the best places to start because their duty cycle, they tend to run almost 24/7, which puts out a lot of emissions, a lot of pollutants into the atmosphere. Being emission free and having no engine gives a better driver experience because there's far less vibration. There's no radiant heat coming off the engine. There's no noise. It's a very, very quiet truck. And we also can reduce injury in the Class 8 market. Slips, trips, and falls are the #1 cause of injury, especially amongst drivers. We have 2 fluids on our entire truck, hydraulic fluid and windshield wiper fluid, and that is it. So, as I mentioned, we're coast to coast, north to south, in a ton of environments: warehousing, manufacturing, rail, just parcel, agriculture, in the ports areas, waste, 3PL, LTL spotting, you name it, we're probably there and already running our trucks very successfully. So a lot of questions we always get is batteries. How long do they last, both in operation and in life? So it's a twofold question. It's going to depend on the operation. So your rails are going to tend to be at higher speed with longer runs and always hauling heavier, fully loaded trailers. So that means the consumption rate is going to increase, and therefore you're not going to get as much battery time as, say, like a warehouse that might have a lot more stop and go, where the regen braking can take into effect and put more energy back in the battery. But based on our telematics and customers, on the usage rate, depending on the battery pack and charging solution, we do have customers that are getting 36 hours on a single charge. And even in the rail distribution, they might get 12 hours, but we compensate with our fast charger, which then puts more energy back in. In most of these environments, if it's a 24/7, our trucks just constantly run nonstop. Here at RGV, we build to order, and we have a lot of customization that we can do. And this part of the process of discussing with fleets of how, what kind of site do you have, and what are your exact needs, and what are you looking for. We have 2 different battery packs. We have two different axles. The higher torque axle, which caps at 18 miles an hour, is important for the Northeast because, as we mentioned, it's a hilly environment, so there's a lot of grades. So we have a way to compensate that. Different charging solutions to meet the needs. You go from standard anywhere from 13 all the way up to 70 kilowatts being put back into the batteries, and that really helps with just your specific operation. We don't have a one-stop shop trying to do a one truck big battery pack fast charger to accommodate everybody, because our trucks operate so efficiently you might not need that fast charger. Coming up soon for new technologies, we do have an intermodal truck that's going to have a much larger battery pack and a much higher speed capability and much higher pulling power. Specifically, that's going to be a really big go-to in the rail operations and also in the ports, just because of the nature of the duty cycle and what they need to do. We have our standard 4x2, also a 6x2, and we offer a whole multitude of optional equipment. And again, as you see here, we have done multiple colors, and again, the trucks are built to order. We also have remanufacture capabilities. So this also reduces the total truck price, but as long as it's on that older Ottawa T1 or that Ottawa chassis and it's approved, we're just looking for major rust corrosion or any frame, cracks in the frame rail. Otherwise, we approve it, reduces the price, and it comes back like new. And when I say like new, if you had a remanufactured truck and a brand new truck next to each other, it's very hard to tell the difference. And the reason for that is our first couple trucks we actually deployed were all remanufactured. In fact, our first one in Chicago was in 2015, and it's still running with that same customer on the original battery pack. Again, just touching on the charging solutions, we will have a truck and a charging solution to meet your duty cycle, which is why we have a little bit more in-depth conversation of what's going on your operation and understand it better. Just in the future here, like we do have our own cabinets that go to our trucks, but coming to the end of the year, we do have CCS1 connector capability, which is very important because a lot of fleets are trying to convert all of their trucks. We can be a part of that conversation as well. So our trucks are going to reduce your cost. Of course, everything goes away with the diesel. No more fuel, no more engine repair. PMs are much shorter as well. You go from about 4 hours to 1 hour. We have a customer reporting they can do 5 of our trucks do the PM service versus just one of their diesels, which heads into the lower cost of the total cost of ownership. We have a model based on all of our data and everything that we've gathered that we could plug all kinds of numbers in here. So this is more of a in-depth conversation, one-on-one with the fleet. But real simply for our trucks, if you want to try to get an estimate of what you might be able to save, and take your annual hours times about an average of 1.5 gallons per hour times your cost of your diesel and times about $5 an hour for maintenance cost. And that ties into everything that's guaranteed that you will be saving by going electric with our trucks.
Michael, you have 1 more minute left.
Okay, absolutely. I'm coming up here. Better uptime, maintenance, and service. Our trucks are experiencing 98 to 99% uptime, which is very, very high compared to a diesel. Diesels, I think, average get about 80% uptime. So again, you have reduced maintenance, simple, far less things on the truck to go wrong. There's only a couple filters. There's no engine. You have none of that kind of headaches that come with the diesel. As far as servicing, we could train your guys. It's easy. They're likely already familiar with our truck because it's been out in the market for decades and parts are readily available. Or we can do on-site service on site for you. It's just a graph here of our fleet performance. I could send this to anyone if they need, but basically since 2020, we have been experiencing 99% uptime with all of our trucks. Post-delivery support, this includes our demo. We come on site for training. So if a new truck delivery or a demo, it'll be me that comes on and we give the full driver, technician, management training. Part of these slides here, I'm sure we'll send later. You could check out some of our customer testimonials and, driver testimonials alike. It just seems that a lot of people really like our trucks just because of, what we're capable of. Again, schedule a demo. It's very minimal cost to you. We can go over all the fine details, but there's nothing better than getting your data out of your operation. So what we do after the demo is we pool some of the information based on your usage cycle, and then we can apply it to here's why it makes a lot of sense. And I'll wrap up here because we mentioned cold weather. We do have a winter package that goes on our truck which helps with that. And this is just a comparison of different seasons in Canada. July and February, if you look at the kilowatts per hour, there is an increase, and that's what happens in the really cold environments. As well as one of our trucks in Minnesota, same thing. You can see they go from about 4.5 to upwards of 8. So there is an increase in the winter, and we count for that. We plan for worst case scenario, which is why we discuss with you on what would be the best truck and battery and charging solution. So that's RNGV in a nutshell. I appreciate everyone's time, and I'll go ahead and move on to the next presenter.
We just have we'll just do one question and answer. So Michael, you can turn on your video real quick.
Sure.
And then if anything pops up in the chat, you can go ahead and take care of that. But one question we have here is, so for the Orange EV remanufactured vehicles, is there like a year or model limitations on what you can do the remanufacture on?
It's got to be that older Ottawa, and it's got to be 2001 or newer. And I think Ottawa went to their new T2 design in like 2014 maybe. So we have up to a range from 2001 to maybe getting into that 2012, 2013. But that'll be something I can help determine with the fleet directly, just with a simple picture. Okay.
All right. Very good. All right, Michael, thank you very much. And then we'll just monitor the chat and push any questions your way.
Absolutely.
And then thank you. Jessica or Sarah, next up.
Great. So, whoops, where did the slides go? Jessica, are you reposting slides? Well, next up we have Global Street Sweepers and Chad Bormann with Global. They are they have a broad range of street sweepers from fully electric to hybrid to fuel cell. So Chad is here to talk to us a little bit about the street sweepers, which we got to see in person recently and are quiet and very cool. So excited to have Chad here. Chad, go ahead. And you can
excellent, Sarah. Yeah. Like. Thank you very much for the opportunity, everyone. I appreciate this. We look forward to bringing the sweeper around again at any given point. I know that recently in the last week or so it had been in that neck of the woods, and we're very proud to show the thing off. So we'll introduce you to that product a little bit today. I'm going to follow suit with Michael, and I'll actually kill my video here, and we'll get things rolling and introduce you to Global. So Global Environmental Products is a street sweeper manufacturer. We're based in San Bernardino, California. We specialize in purpose-built type street sweepers, which, as you can see, we build our own truck chassis from the ground up. We're one of the only companies that builds a diverse range of air sweepers, vacuum sweepers. We do the regenerative air, we do all mechanical, and we do many different types. The projects that we've started on the new technology fuels, alternative fuels, actually began roughly 13 years ago with New York City Department of Sanitation. They had approached us and asked us to produce a diesel electric hybrid sweeper. Main reason being at that time, we didn't have the battery technology available to move a street sweeper around and do the job that weighs 22,000 pounds for a full shift. So we partnered with a company also based out of California called US Hybrid. They're right down the road from our manufacturing facility, which has made things convenient, and produced the first diesel electric hybrid machine. basically is what we did at that time was took a Cummins diesel engine, derated it. We stacked a generator off of the front of the machine, and that charged a lithium-ion battery pack. And then we ran all of the sweep functions hydraulically using an electric motor, and same with the drive. We use an electric motor on the drive of the rear axle. Ultimately, New York City's goal was to reduce fuel consumption and greenhouse gas emissions. They ran a operational analysis, and as you can see, it was based on 85% of drive cycle and 15 or sweep time. I'm sorry, and 15% drive time. And they've been using these machines for quite a while. They have information to support the fact that we have reduced their fuel consumption by 50% and greenhouse gas emissions by 58%. New York City now has roughly 35 of those diesel electric hybrids running in their fleet. They have a total of 500 street sweepers that they put on the road every day. So the next step in that game was another customer of ours was California Department of Transportation had approached us and asked us to build a hydrogen fuel cell sweeper. There's one that's been built, and it's actually been in test with UC Riverside out in Southern California now for almost going on 2 years. The machine was built at a 33,000 GVWR, highway travel speeds. We can build this thing to different configurations to meet the application as to how we discharge the load. Obviously an extremely quiet machine, zero emission. Same thing, we're actually using the same technology, the drive motors that we did on the diesel electric hybrid to propel the machine. Sweep speeds, travel speeds are identical to what we were doing in a diesel engine. Ultimately, the fuel cell and the hydrogen tank, they took the place of a battery pack and no diesel engine at all. The byproduct is energy and H2O, water. So in the street sweeper world, if you're familiar with it, every street sweeper will run water to control the dust that's agitated by the street sweeper itself. And these machines they're produced with a capacity of anywhere from 250 to 280 gallons of water on board that they put down on the road. We've actually got the ability with the hydrogen fuel cell machine to collect the byproduct, which is water, and run it back into the water tanks and use that as dust suppression, which is adding in a full shift another roughly 43 gallons of water to the capacity for the operator. And this has all evolved now into the full electric street sweepers, which we've had in production now for going on roughly 18 months. The first machine was built and placed with New York City, which is doing the primary testing of the machine. They've had it now in operation for over a year. And actually the machine that you see up on the left is just a kind of a smaller design, a 3-wheel version of the same sweeper that was shipped over to Tokyo, Japan, and they are testing over there. So since then, it has gone into full production. It is the only sweeper in the world that we're aware of that's full electric in the Class 7 range, which is obviously 26,000 pounds or greater. There are a lot of European machines that are coming in. They're your smaller, more subcompact street sweepers. So this is the only full-size, fully electric machine that's available on the market that we are aware of. You can see a little bit of the configuration, as I mentioned, on the fuel cell and the diesel electric hybrid. We were driving the rear axle using an electric motor. It's the exact same motor that's used on this machine, 160 kilowatt. The battery pack that's in the machine is a 210 kilowatt, and then we have an onboard charger on the machine. Anytime that we sell the street sweeper, it's delivered with a Clipper Creek level 2 charger. The battery life at this point from the manufacturer that we buy them from, it is estimating at an 8-year battery life with anticipated loss over the course of that 8 years of 15%. The machine is sold with a 5-year full battery warranty, parts and labor. Work autonomy is a full shift, 9 to 11 hours. So if you have a full charge at the beginning, you should be able to sweep a full shift. Charge time with the standard level 2 is it's 1-to-1. So if I consume 3 or 4 hours that day, it'll take 3 or 4 hours to charge it back to full capacity. There's just some specification on the charge systems. It's simple. If we deliver the machine to a customer, the only thing they really need in their facility is a receptacle or an outlet that's rated at 240 volt and a minimum of 50 amp. We suggest anywhere from 80 to 100 amps, which it's able to work from, and that keeps our charge time more than 1-to-1 as specified. Conventional rear axle in the machine, using an AC motor to drive it, 160 kilowatt system, and electronic control by inverter with torque control. So it's actually a very simple drive system that we do have on the machine. And that is what I have. Like I said, the machine's been out on the road, and we're happy to bring it in. We're happy to show it to anybody.
Great. Thank you, Chad. That was right on time. And do we have any questions? I don't see any in the chat. All right, looks like we're good. So anybody can add their questions into the chat, and Chad can respond in the chat if you think of anything.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Chad. Thanks for being here.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Chad, again for that presentation. It was fun to have you guys out in Lebanon, New Hampshire, and Kittery, Maine for those in-person demos with our stakeholders. So we appreciated that opportunity. And up next, we're going to have Indra Motors. Ben Shapiro, who's the business development manager, will be presenting today. And Endera is creating all-electric, zero-emissions delivery and cargo trucks, as well as shuttles. They also offer charging infrastructure and telematics. So I'm looking forward to hearing more from Ben whenever you're ready, Ben.
Ready to go. Thanks, Jessica. Alrighty. So hi, everyone. Like Jessica said, my name is Ben Shapiro, Biz Dev Manager over at Andera. Been here since it was just about 5 people. We're now closer to 70 and shooting up towards 100 pretty quick. And I mostly focus on our fleet electrification efforts on the eastern half of the US. So from Texas to the right, that is me. All right, so Endera, our mission is really just accelerating the adoption of sustainable energy through our commercial electric vehicles and clean energy products. And so we're really a turnkey solution to fleet electrification. So we're not going to just come in and give you a vehicle and then we're out. We're with you through the entire process, from planning to delivery of the vehicle to service the vehicle and everything else. So you'll see we manufacture our electric vehicles out of Ottawa, Ohio under one roof. We have versatile charging infrastructure from our partners. And we've also developed our own AI-assisted telematics and software, or you can use your own software that you have. And throughout the entire process of electrification, we help you with planning, analytics, using our own data, using industry data, and any of your own data that you already have prepared. So a quick glance at some of our biggest customers. We've deployed 29 electric shuttles over to the San Diego International Airport. We also have ACE over at Aladdin Parking. We have 8 over at Illumina. We have a number of clients out in Colorado that are driving our vehicles in the cold and very hilly climate over by the ski resorts. We also have a number of clients out in Arizona, New Jersey. We're going to be announcing a huge client in the next month or two. And I've also been working with a couple clients in New York, New Hampshire, and other East Coast groups. How we roll. All right, so these are our vehicles here. These are all built on the E450 chassis straight from Ford. They are also all using the same powertrain. And this allows us to really optimize our production and make sure that we are using one platform with the best drivetrain that we can possibly get. So these vehicles are all going to get about 135-mile range, fully loaded. And on the B series, that's going to be your white bus. This is going to be 135 miles, up to 20 passengers. We can do a 18 plus 2 if you want some ADA spots in there. This is perfect for, let's say, universities, airports, retirement communities, employee parking, things like that. And this is going to be a class 4. So you've got that 14500 GVWR, and it's going to range anywhere from 23-foot to 28-foot buses. O series, that's our type A school bus. Pretty similar to the white bus that we have, except obviously it's yellow, and we have some improved safety standards on that because of regulations. And then the L series is going to be our box truck. and that's going to be, again, 135-mile range. It's going to be the total box, or the total vehicle length, is going to be up to 26 foot, and as low as 21 foot, and the payload's going to be about 7,000. Just quickly summarizing this, essentially, if you want something customized in your floor plan, we will put it in there as long as we've got it in stock, or we can get it in stock. We'll put it in. Charging. So this is one of the most critical components of electric vehicles. We use the CCS Combo J1772 port that's on pretty much every vehicle except for, I think, the Nissan Leafs and Tesla's, but Tesla actually sells an adapter that a lot of people have, since this is the standardized port for electric vehicles. So our chargers will work with any vehicle that's using that port, and our vehicles will work with any charger that has this port. So here's a couple of our partners that you can see on the screen. Two different types of chargers that I wanted to highlight. Our mobile charging, and these are awesome. They're basically wheelable stations that you can move around a depot. And we have a couple of these in our Ohio facility. They can charge our vehicles in as little as 3 hours. And then down below, you'll see the multi-port high power stations. So one of these right here on the right, that's a 180 kilowatt station with 3 different ports. So you can charge 3 vehicles off of that one station at 60 kilowatts, and that's about a 3-hour charge time. Or you could charge 1 vehicle at 180 kilowatts, and that's about an hour charge time. Taking a look at our telematics, this is our operator-facing platform where you're going to be able to get AI-assisted suggestions on how to optimize your route. You'll be able to see the ETAs, automate the telematics reporting, and you'll also be able to view the seat availability. So we have a facial detection system in the vehicle that scans the number of heads in the vehicle and subtracts that from the seat count, and that's how you get the number of seats. And this isn't capturing people's faces or taking any images, it's just counting the number of heads entering and leaving the vehicle. This is a little image of what it looks like over at the San Diego International Airport on the kind of summary view. We also have our rider-facing application for Android and iOS. This is perfect for public transit or university students and staff, where they can jump onto this app, see when the bus is going to arrive, how many seats are available, kind of plan out their route and things like that. All right, so going electric with Endera. This is a top-level view of our electrification process, and we're going to be with you throughout every single step of it, from the beginning, setting your goals and your timeline, figuring out what do you want, what do you need, what can you do, and then all the way to the end where we deliver the vehicle, and then we stay with you, and you're always going to have one number that you can call and get help with charging, infrastructure, vehicles, operations, anything like that. And so diving into this route analysis right here, this is where we use your existing fleet data, or if you don't have that data, we can ship out a little GPS device to you and get that data back, and we'll create a report that allows us to determine the ideal configuration of vehicles and infrastructure for your fleet on that route or on your routes if you have multiple. And then we can also create our TCO study, and this will show you over the lifetime of the vehicle, which is about 7 years, what your break-even point is going to be, what your total project savings are going to be, how much you're going to be reducing your emissions and fuel and maintenance costs, and really kind of go through all the financial aspects of this. So here's an example of a route analysis we did with a client out in New York. This is kind of the summary view. There's a lot more data that we can show. And it looks like it's transferred a little bit weirdly on the screen, but that's okay. So distance here, we had about a 12-mile route, taking about an hour for them to do, average speed 13 miles per hour, and the max was about 31. And the grade here was 9.14%, which is pretty significant. But the results of our vehicle on that route, they were able to do just under 12 loops, and they had an efficiency of 0.93 kilowatt hours per mile, which was great. And the total range for that vehicle was about 136 miles. We also have regenerative braking on our vehicles. And so you can see that little box right there. The vehicle regenerated 4.21 kilowatt hours of energy, which is, about 4 miles on this route throughout the day. On a hot day and a cold day, obviously your numbers are going to go a bit down. We see anywhere from, let's say, 10 to 20%. Cold days are better, as you can see on the screen. On a hot day, we were still able to do 10 loops and get about 117 miles out of the vehicle. On a cold day, we were able to do about 10.5 loops. And so that's 123 miles on the vehicle. TCO here that I'll jump into real quick because I know we're at the end. Break-even point for our client out in New York that wanted 14 vehicles was 4.13 years. And this is not including any incentives at all. You can see their fuel and maintenance dropped 83%. Their emissions dropped 72%. And we also show you this nice little screen here that shows kind of how much CO2 you'd be saving and trees you'd be planting, passenger cars taken off the road. And the total project savings was 1.3 million. Electric future, I'll skim over this real quick because I know we're about to run out of time, but vehicle to grid is going to be huge, especially for school bus applications. Essentially, you can charge your vehicle when the prices are low, and then you can sell the energy back to the grid when the prices are high and make a couple thousand at least every month or so. Battery density and cost is drastically shooting down. Autonomous transportation is coming. It's already kind of in the Teslas. It's going to be coming to larger vehicles. Big push across the nation for increased access to transit services. Access to public transportation is the #1 factor in an individual's ability to move out of poverty. So there's a big push towards that. And obviously, with all of this movement towards a more sustainable America, there's going to be a transformation of our national infrastructure and transportation. And if you'd like to get started with a free route analysis and TCO study, feel free to shoot me a message. Email's right there on the screen. That's my phone number as well. And I'll also put it in the chat.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Ben. Looks like we do have a question in the chat. It's from Vermont Clean Cities Coordinator Peggy O'Neill Bevanco. Would the Endera app interface with existing transit apps? So say a transit company has an app but wants to pilot the Endera app. How does that work, or how would that work?
Yep. So we've got an open API. So all of the data that's in our platform is yours, and it can be accessible by any platform that you're going to be using. So we would just work with your software team and our software team, make sure those two platforms get connected, and there you go. You're good to go.
Excellent. So you mentioned at the last slide the GPS-based route analysis and this data analysis that you can do for the cargo trucks. Can you tell us a little bit more about what's involved there? Is there any kind of commitment that folks need to make, following that in order to take advantage of that complimentary offer?
No, really, the route analysis is where we start with somebody, and you don't have to be sure that you need our type of vehicle. And sometimes we've had clients that need a 40-foot transit bus. We don't make that, but I just did a route analysis for a client out in Michigan where they were looking at potentially a cargo truck or a cargo van, and we still did this route analysis for them. And so really, we're just trying to give you information that you can use to better plan and prepare for electrification. And we just take in simple data. Like the most important stuff is, what is your average daily miles? What is your maintenance costs and fuel costs? How many days is it in operation? Things like that. And with just those data points, we can pretty easily map out what type of vehicle you would need and what the battery size would need to be, and if our vehicle will be able to do it on your route.
Excellent. It's good to know. Thanks again, Ben. Appreciate your presentation and your time today.
Thank you very much.
All right, and once again, if you have any questions for Ben, feel free to type them in the chat, and I'm sure Ben will be able to respond to them there. All right, so up next, we would like to offer a poll here. We have a poll question. Would anybody on this call today be interested in a complimentary route or data analysis from Andera? Your options are that you are interested or that you're not interested. So we'll give a few seconds for that poll here. I know the poll app's been a little bit different in the Teams app. Technology keeps moving forward, so perfect. Go ahead and enter your response to that poll. Great, looks like there are some folks that are interested, so we'll be sure to follow up with those folks after the call. Go ahead and close the poll. And on to our next presenter, we have Lion Electric here. I don't know about you folks, but when I think of Lion Electric, I equate that to buses, but Joe Gwin is here, Regional Sales Manager, to talk about some new and exciting developments on the Lion Electric front.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Jessica, for the introduction. And yeah, that is common that people think of buses first, but we've been selling trucks for a couple of years, and I'll show you kind of the company history and what has led to that. All right, so this is our opening page, but it shows kind of a lineup of the kind of trucks you can expect from Lion. Now, our history: we were founded in 2008, and by 2011 we had done our first deployments, and those were diesel buses. But because we were a pretty new company, we started thinking, what is the future? How can we innovate? Because we'd already innovated with the body and done a lot of things to remove. Actually, we removed all the rivets from the school bus body so that there were less leak points, less service, less problems, longer lasting body. How can we make a longer lasting bus and one that's better for the environment and better for everyone riding it? And by 2016, we launched the all electric school bus. In 2018, we started doing minibus. And then by 2020, we launched our all-electric trucks. That's really just building off of the success we had on the school bus platform. You take that yellow bus off the top, and you've got a truck chassis. So we started manufacturing these trucks in 2020, and then by 2021, we actually launched our first refuse trucks. Lion, and you'll have to excuse me, these slides are from July, and they're already outdated because this says 390 vehicles in operation. We are at over 400 now. It says more than 7 million zero emission miles. We're at over 9 million now. So these numbers are all quickly going up, and we can't keep up with the slides and updating them. But another big development that has happened for Lion recently is we announced a U.S.-based manufacturing plant. Most of us know us as a Canadian manufacturer because in Quebec we can currently manufacture 2,500 vehicles a year. But in 2021 we're going to be manufacturing vehicles out of a U.S.-based location outside of Chicago in Joliet, Illinois, where we can produce 20,000 vehicles a year. This is the largest electric, medium, and heavy-duty vehicle plant in the U.S. And 2022 will be when the first vehicles are out of there. So we also announced this year that we're planning a highly automated battery manufacturing plant in Quebec that will go live the second half of 2022. Right now, we have 8 experience centers and R&D centers across the U.S. and Canada. And I'll show you a map of that here in a second. And this is another outdated number. This says 650 employees, but we last count I heard are about 900. So just since June or July, we've already grown a lot. So here's the service centers that we have. You can see all the dark blue are current facilities, and some not too far from where many of you are located. We build these out as we have more deployments in these areas. So it's kind of get the vehicles sold, deploy them, and then have a center for people to be able to take vehicles in if they need service. But the really important thing to mention about service is the chassis is built with standard components. Most people who've ever worked on brakes can work on the Bendix brakes that we're providing. If you've ever had a truck chassis with a Dana axle, a Hendrickson axle, we're providing the same axles. So it's really all standard components. The only thing people aren't going to be familiar with is the high voltage system, maybe the electric motor, but these are service-free components. There's visual checks to look at connectors and things like that, but you're not gonna be working on the high voltage system, and it probably won't require any service throughout its lifetime. You've got no oil changes, no belts, so the savings are going to be immense on that side, and really the our experience centers, even though we're putting them in all these locations, they're not doing a lot today because there's not a lot for fleets to have serviced. But we do have techs in these locations that can be dispatched as needed. Here's the total product roadmap for trucks. Today we have the Lion 6 and Lion 8. And we've done utility and refuse on those platforms. We also recently announced the Lion 8 tractor. This is a day cab tractor that will go into production this quarter, actually. We have lots of pre-orders for it already. This will be a big product for Lion. And then we have the Lion 8 bucket truck, and we have a Lion 8 reefer. And then upcoming, next year, we're going to have the Lion 5, which is a Class 5, a little smaller than that Class 6, and then the Lion 7 to fit that space between the Class 6 and Class 8 we have now. And we're also going to have a Lion 8 boom truck and probably some other vocations as well. So Lion Electric, what really sets us apart is that we're purpose-built to be electric. From the beginning, our cab and chassis and everything is designed to have an electric drivetrain on it. We don't really have a diesel legacy. We're not taking components and putting them where they fit, but where they belong. The reason this is important is well, one, for service, you can get to what you need to fix, but also we can pack on more kilowatt hours than any other OEM on the market. We have a composite cab, so it's lighter. That means you're going to get more miles. Also, there's no rust, no corrosion, no paint, no downtime. Our regenerative braking system is going to last 3 times longer than conventional. And our vehicles, have a custom-built driver information center on, in the dash too. So it's going to give you a lot more data than a standard instrument cluster on a conventional vehicle. 80% savings on fuel and a 60% savings on cost. That's the big reason to move over. So I'm provided here a kind of a middle of the road, estimate based off of a parcel delivery customer who gave us fleet data numbers on what they pay for trucks. You can see the blue line here is our truck. The brown is a conventional diesel. You can see we're a lot more expensive up front, and it's around year 5 that you're crossing over, and then lifetime, the savings. This one was $350,000. That's immense. That's one truck, and that's without a grant. You start talking about grants, and this gets even better. So Lion, 100% of what we do is electric, so we realize there's a lot of pieces to that. On the energy side, the training side, we provide all the training. We have all the energy people, the grant people that you need. Every application is going to be a little bit different on trucks. So what charging station you need and what the infrastructure requirements are going to differ from client to client, and we'll help you figure that out. We also have the Bright Squad, who we can dispatch for any kind of high voltage repairs, and we also have a telematics package with Lion Beat and 24/7 assistance. Our warranty on the battery is 8 years, but the life expectancy on a battery, 12, 15 years. It depends on your use case, but we can look at that. We can even extend it to 12 years if you want.
One more minute, Joe.
Okay, thanks. We've been in cold climates since we started because we're Montreal based. Some of the things in New Hampshire that people might be concerned about is the cold weather. Really, the only thing is that we have to be concerned about is, cab heat, and we look at that when we're sizing batteries and making sure it fits the route. Do we have enough cab heat in the wintertime, to accommodate the entire route? And we'll just make sure that it does. Hilly terrain, no problem. These vehicles have a lot of horsepower, a lot of torque. And anything that goes up has to come down, and when it comes down, it's recapturing energy for the batteries. So in that aspect, it's a lot better than your diesel trucks that don't recapture that energy. So since I'm running out of time, I'll skip that one. But I just want to close, talking about how we're the leader in this space because we got the most experience, and we have the most deployments. We have a lot of purpose-built electric vehicles that are all on the road now. We can leverage incentives, and You know, we have an unprecedented drive to make the world a better place. And here's my contact information. If you need anything, please reach out. We can help answer any questions you may have.
Great. Thank you so much, Joe.
Thanks.
I do see one question in the chat for you from Peggy again. She saw that there's a service center going in Vermont and wanted to know a little bit more about where that's going to be located. And personally, I'm wondering, where's the New Hampshire and the Maine service center?
Well, you know, as soon as we have some deployments in all these states, you're going to see those go in there. And I can tell you, we do have orders in Maine and Vermont, so we're not far off. I can't disclose where we're putting the place yet. They don't tell me these things, but it's probably because we haven't decided yet. Once we're ready to deploy, that's the moment we'll probably announce where we're going to put the service center.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, a question actually for all of our presenters today, and this came through from Deirdre Ritzer, not specific to Joe at all, so any of the presenters that are on can certainly come online and answer this. But, you know, a lot of talk about vehicle delivery delays and issues with supply chains. Can you elaborate, or any of you elaborate on how this is affecting your own products? Or
Yeah, I'll start. I can say, you know, everyone's taken a hit. You know, it's everything across the board, just name it. But what I will say is, compared to some diesel trucks, I think we're doing pretty well because we had ordered a lot of materials and we have the people to build them. On our Lion 6 right now, and the 8, we're seeing production times of about 4 months for us to produce a chassis. And I've heard over a year for several diesel trucks. So this is helping us out a lot, but there are only so many slots. And once we run out of those slots, I don't know, you know, what the future might bring. So it's a lot of unknowns right now, definitely.
Mike, how about you?
Yeah, I would concur that it seems like the diesels have a much longer lead time. Here at RNGV, we're still in the 90 days. We haven't been affected by a lot of the supply issues. We do a good job of stocking everything that we need. Very similar to how, you know, with Endera being on the Ford, you know, us being on that Ottawa chassis helps. You know, a lot of parts are readily available in the market. We are going to probably increase to 120 days, but only because we've been getting a lot more orders and we haven't finished expanding our production facility yet. So we're trying our hardest to keep with that 90 days, and so far we really have been. Sometimes if we can be even shorter, just because of the amount of volume, just the parts that we have in stock.
Excellent. Well, that is good to hear. Thank you, gentlemen, all of you, for that insight. It looks like I think we have another poll coming up here that we'd like to get some responses to. So we've heard about a lot of different products today. We'd like to know from the audience which of these you might be interested in for your own fleet. So the options are the electric street sweeper, an electric Class 8 truck, electric shuttle buses, electric yard trucks, and Class 6 trucks. We'll give a couple of seconds here for responses. Looks like that street sweeper is in the lead. All right, we'll go ahead and close that poll, and we have one more for everybody. We've talked a lot about demonstrations here, and certainly the Northern Tier team has been working hard to try to develop some in-person demonstrations for our communities. So we'd like to know from the audience, would you be interested in an in-person demonstration of any of these electric vehicles? And the options here are the yard truck, the E450 cargo truck, cargo transit van, commercial van, or other, and please feel free to type those answers in the chat. What are you looking for today? Looks like we've got a tie between the yard truck, the cargo transit, and the commercial vans. Excellent. All right, we'll go ahead and close that poll. And we just want to obviously mention the Northern Tier team has been working hard on developing a lot of opportunities for our stakeholders. We've got a webinar number 4 coming up on October 21st. We're really going to kind of hone in on transit and school buses. So please feel free to register for that and join us on October 21st. Additionally, we are developing plug-in hybrid electric pickup truck demos and kind of targeting early December for that. So more info to come. Thank you for joining us, and I will pass it over to Sarah.
Thank you. So it looks like Rob from the Sierra Club, you have your hand up. I don't know if you can unmute yourself. Let's see. If not, you can just put your question or comment into the chat and then we can address it there.
Jessica's trying to unmute him.
Okay, great. Okay. Well, as we're doing that, we got one more poll coming up here about additional, oh wait, or is this the one we just did?
Nope, this is a new one.
Okay, sorry. I was like, wait. So these are for some multi-day demonstrations where you could take the vehicle and actually, put it through its paces, have it with your fleet. So if you can put in your responses here for the commercial van, the cargo truck, the cargo van, the yard trucks, and then the plug-in hybrid pickup that is able to have a plow on it, which I know many people are interested. Okay, excellent. And I see is the leader, as I suspected, the plug-in hybrid. So that's exciting. Okay. So just wanted to, oops, here we go. Plug again the EPA Endera state grant programs. There's a national and a state program. The state programs are a little bit better to go through, we think, in terms of the competitiveness of them. So it provides up to 45% of funding for eligible diesel, vehicles and equipment replacement. It also can be used for one piece of charging equipment, one charging unit per vehicle. There are no engine model year requirements, so you can certainly replace even newer diesel vehicles with electric, which is exciting. So if you've just bought, more recently, it's okay, and you can use that money to replace with electric vehicles. So if you're interested, these are the links to the particular places within each of our states that distribute and administer the EPA Endera funding. There's also VW funding in some of our states still available. In Maine, it has been already allocated, but in New Hampshire and Vermont, just reach out to your particular Clean Cities representatives. So also just again, a plug for the references and resources, that your Clean Cities coordinators can provide. Our coalitions are really trying to support fleets as much as possible. There's information on the AFDC website, case studies, there's information about particular state laws and incentives. There's vehicle search tools, so you can see what the newest, latest and greatest best technology is out there. And A-Fleet, which is a tool that helps with calculating cost of ownership. And please reach out to us. We can help you with any and all of these as well. We have sort of broader and deeper technical assistance offerings as well. We have some research with our technical response service. They can sort of research and provide case studies for any particular topic or question you have. We have Tiger teams, which are much more sort of trained in looking at very technical response and technical problem solving with particular vehicles or fleets or charging. So those are some of our more in-depth resources, and please reach out if you're interested in any of those. As we said, we have an upcoming webinar in October on buses, transit buses, and electric school buses, which we're excited to share some of the things that are going on in each of our states, as well as having vendors there as well. So I think there's a date, or a question about registering. Did we get that answered?
Yep,
Oh,
Jessica
yes.
put that registration in the chat.
Jessica put it in the chat there, so you can already go and register for our October webinar, and we look forward to seeing you all there. And thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Thanks to our presenters, and thanks to Jessica, Sarah, and Jessica Poulin, Vermont Clean Cities intern. Have a great day, folks.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.